You're listening to RCFlightCast podcast with Frank Betts. Well, welcome to RCFlightCast. I'm Frank, and today we're diving into a full Q&A session for beginner RC pilots. I will cover everything from choosing your first airplane to wiring, wing setups, and even battery safety. So let's get rolling. Beginner basics. I went over my forums and checked out other YouTube videos and just nosing around here. I wrote down some typical questions that I read like on Reddit or places like that, and I just gathered a bunch of stuff here, and I'm going to go through it with some answers. So this stuff here, a lot of this has been on previous podcasts, but this is going to be kind of concentrated. And so anyway, well, let's give this a whirl. So, question. I'm brand new to the hobby. What's the easiest type of RC plane for a beginner to learn on? And the answer to that is start with a high wing trainer like the FMS Super Easy or the Hobby Zone Aero Scout. They're floaty, stable, and usually come with stabilization that helps you fly without overcorrecting. I know a lot of people have that Aero Scout. I see that name thrown around quite a bit. And I think if I was just starting out, I'd probably jump on that plane too. And they even have some good used ones on Facebook Marketplace. But, just buyer beware on some, you get on something like that. Another question, what's the difference between RTF and BNF? Which should I get? And the answer on that pretty much is RTF, which is ready to fly. Comes with everything. Plane, radio, charger, battery. The BNF, bind and fly, needs your own compatible transmitter. So if you're new, stick with RTF. One box, one flight. Excuse me. A little dry in here tonight. Got the air conditioner on. Just to add to that, and I've mentioned this on my other podcast, where, if you want ready to fly, it's going to come with a transmitter, probably a little cheapy, something to get you going. So that'll give you some choices, whether to, go with an RTF or the bind and fly, which, if you already got a transmitter, maybe you want to buy one, a decent one already early on, and then you can just, like it says, bind and fly to the your aircraft, and it'll be a little cheaper because you're not having to buy a transmitter each time when you get an RTF plane. Next question. How much money should I expect to spend just to get in the air? Well, depends on how big your credit card is. But the answer to that is kind of around $200 to $300 for a good beginner RTF kit. Add $50 for spare batteries or a better charger. And you don't need to go broke to have a great time flying. So, yeah, there's lots of choices out there. Just do your homework. Next question. What's the range like on these beginner planes? Answer. Most 2.4 gigahertz radios give you 800 to 1,000 feet of solid range. Just stay, line of sight. Tall trees and metal structures can really mess with the signal. And, that can happen with even the better made ones, transmitters and receivers. You get, temporarily behind a tree or whatever, and all it takes is just a second for that signal to go, and you're done. So, next question. Should I learn on a simulator first? And the answer is yes, if you can. That just adds to the cost of everything. You're looking at a couple of $100, but you got to bring up your confidence a little bit, especially if you don't have an instructor or you plan on going out there by yourself and taking off and seeing what you can do. So, yeah, simulator is a good one. It gets your reflexes up, and it helps you learn when you take off the plane away from you. Of course, the controls are going to be in the right directions, but when you turn that plane around and come back at you, now everything's the opposite. So you have to think of that. And with a simulator like that, you can sit there and practice and do all kinds of stuff and not worry about crashing your airplane. That's not good. So, but if you're itching to fly, a stabilized trainer and a calm day will do just fine. And I'm confident and really happy the way I fly. And the last couple of planes I bought have those stabilizers in there. And I get lazy and I'll flick those on there and it'll keep the plane straight and level. Or if I get, if it's really windy out or the plane's jumping around, I'll put that stabilizer on, and you just drop the throttle, let it ease on in, and you can set yourself up for a real nice landing like that. So, next question. Is flying with a club better than going solo? Answer, absolutely. Clubs offer help, safety, and knowledge. A good club will save you more in crashed gear than you'll ever pay in dues. And, I was talking about the AMA on my last podcast there, and that's $75 a year for me. And I just decided to get back into a club, which is about 38 miles from me. I was in it years ago. I had a lot of fun out there. They keep the field really nice. It's a grass field. They have a lot of activity out there, and they've got a Facebook page. And it's called the Balsa Bees, right here actually down in Soresco, Michigan. And I'm over here in Hickory Corners, so it's a little bit of a drive, but you go out on a Saturday morning and plan on hanging out. They've got really nice setup out there so you can really enjoy yourself. A lot of room, a lot of elbow room. Okay. And I'm paying $75 a year for that. For them to keep everything all cleaned up and what have you. It even has an on-site weather station. Michigan University has one. So you can get online there and right there tell what the weather is right at the flying site. So anyway, okay, next question. How long will my battery last per flight? Answer, a standard 3S 2200 milliamp LiPo gives you about 8 to 12 minutes depending on throttle use. Start with 7-minute timers and land early until you know your flight time. That's a touchy one. I mean, that could go one way or the other. And that's just a starting point when I say, 8 to 12 minutes like that. I actually bought me a little cheapy $5 timer. And I just wear it. I have a little lanyard. I just wear it around my neck. And just before I take off, I'll push the button. And then it'll do I go 5 minutes myself. I give myself a 5-minute countdown. That way I can mess around on that throttle and don't really have to worry about it. I usually wind up with about 40% left on my batteries if I do that. If you keep it consistent there, you'll save a lot of wear and tear on your LiPo. And then you can, on average, kind of get it dialed in. I know people that keep little logs that, they set their timer, they go out and fly, and they bring it back, and they check the percentage of how much battery power is left, and they just keep making a note of it. Pretty soon you can, get it dialed right in the way you want it. But, I don't do that. That's kind of nerdy. Okie dokie. Next question. What's one beginner mistake I should avoid at all costs? And the answer, don't fly in the wind. Also, never assume your plane is balanced right from the factory. Check center of gravity and trim before every first flight. Yes, indeed. I can't say that enough or stress it enough. Wind is a big deal. Might seem pretty calm on the ground, but once you get up in the air, you do some bouncing around. And then once you get up there, then you're sitting there going, okay, great, I got it up. Now I got to land this thing. And that's where the confidence comes in, and the simulator flying and would give you the best chance. So just be careful. Watch that wind. You can get a anemometer, which is that right? Anemometer? Yeah, where a little wind generator thing that shows the wind speed. And I think you can get one for like $15 on eBay. I'm going to grab me one of those. But yeah, little wind is not going to hurt anything. It's just when it starts bouncing around there, it'll make your plane jump around and keeps you busy, or it can keep you busy. So, yeah, and then, of course, that center of gravity and trim before every first flight. Always have it at least a little nose heavy, never tail heavy. You're looking for some fun if you get it tail heavy. It's crazy. I've taken a couple up where they were just obviously tail heavy, and I had a lot of fun bringing it down. But, yep. Okay, now we're going to go with gear wiring, and a little segment here for that. So the question is, how do I know where to plug in my servos on the receiver? And the answer to that is use this rule. Channel 1 is aileron, channel 2 is elevator, channel 3 is throttle, and channel 4 is rudder. And some brands vary, so double check your radio's channel map. But anything I've been flying was always in that order. So, check your manual. You just never know. But it's always been that way for anything I've ever had. And, okay, so the next question, what kind of connectors do I need between the ESC and battery? And the answer for that one is the XT60, which I'm kind of warming up to a little bit. But, because it is the most common, for the beginner planes. But I go with the Dean's connector. One connector is horizontal and the other one is vertical. And they can take a lot of current. Well, I just kind of grew up with the Dean's connectors. And then you have the EC3 or the JST for the smaller setups. So, keep connectors consistent or get adapters. Now, I just bought some adapters so I can go from that XT60 over to the Dean's or vice versa. That way it saves you on having to buy batteries, with the different connectors like that. And I think I paid like $8 for 4 of them, I think it was. So, yeah, you can adapt it right there on the spot. Question, which way do the servo wires plug into the receiver? And the answer to that is servo wires usually follow this pin out. The signal, which is the white or orange wire, the power, which is the red one, and ground is going to be either black or brown. Most of my stuff is black. And the signal wire faces the signal label. If it's backwards, the servo won't respond, but nothing fries. A lot of people get panicky thinking if they flipped it around the wrong way, it's going to blow it up, but it's not. I usually have, like if I'm looking at the receiver, staring at it right side up, and I go to the connector for the servo, you'll have those exposed connections on one side of that. I usually have that facing up. That usually is just the default way, how I plug mine in. But again, keep an eye on it and see what yours is, just to make sure. Let's see. Question, what powers the receiver? Do I need a separate battery? And the answer to that one is, for electric planes, your little ESC powers the receiver using its BEC. That red wire in the ESC servo lead provides the 5 volts. And, of course, the bigger gas or glow setups may need a dedicated receiver battery. When I was running the glow plug, gas, nitro stuff, you had to have a separate battery for the receiver, obviously, because, for the electric stuff, here you go, you got that big battery, so that ESC will split that power off to the servos and, lights, anything else you got off of your plane. So that's it for that segment. Now we got the wing type setups, which can be a little confusing. Question, what's a wing type setup on the transmitter, and when do I need to change it? And the answer, if you fly a flying wing, elevon, or V-tail, your transmitter must know. Go to the wing type or mixing menu and choose the right one. A delta wing needs elevon mix to combine roll and pitch control. So, and next question, how do I wire servos for an elevon or flying wing setup? And the answer to that is plug left and right elevon servos into aileron and elevator channels and activate the elevon mode in your transmitter. And then you test your surfaces. Up stick should raise both elevons. If it doesn't, reverse one or both channels. And that should fix you right up there. It gets a little confusing, I know. You just got to take your time and check the directions out or get on YouTube and check out some videos on that. So, looks like, let me see my notes here. Oh, here we go. The last part here is battery safety and LiPo types. Question, what types of LiPo batteries are used in RC planes? And the answer, most common are the 2S, 3S, and 4S LiPos. That's 2, 3, or 4 cells in series. 3S 2200 milliamp is the workhorse battery for beginner planes. And the higher the S, the more voltage. Match the cell count to your plane's ESC and motor specs. Yeah, keep a close eye on that, or you're going to overheat that ESC, or you're just going to burn up that motor. And, of course, the prop pitch, prop size comes in play to keep things cooled down for you. So make sure you have the right combinations there for that. Let's see. Next question, what does the C rating on a LiPo mean? And the answer to that is... C rating tells you how fast the battery can safely discharge. Like 25C, 2200 milliamp hour battery can theoretically supply 55 amps. 2200 milliamp hours times 25 divided by 1,000. Memorize that. Higher C ratings are good for high performance planes, but overkill for trainers. So true, yeah. You start spending extra money you really don't need on the batteries there. LiPos, it's always a good idea to find out the great combination for your particular plane there. And usually, you know, it'll be a suggestion for like a 3S. I mean, I've got a couple of planes that require at least a 3S LiPo, and I've jumped it up to 4. And got an extra flight time, made a little extra nose heavy, but you can pull the battery back a little bit. Usually there's, you know, you get a little bit of room wherever the battery compartment is, and it'll fly just fine. Just, you know, again, match things up so you don't overheat something. Next question here, what's the safest way to charge a LiPo? And the answer is use a LiPo compatible charger. With balanced charging enabled. Always charge in a fireproof LiPo bag and never leave it unattended. Set it to the correct cell count and amps. 1C is safe for most batteries, e.g. 2.2 amps for a 2200 milliamp hour pack. And I've got one I've had since 2000, mid-2000s. And that thing has saved me more times than not. I've actually run a battery down to darn near nothing. And some of those chargers won't accept that. They need a minimum. But mine, you can take it right on down to near nothing, and it'll bring it right up and balance that out. It'll vary the rate of charge and brings everybody up even, and you got you a nice battery pack again. The only thing is it doesn't is a discharge setup. But I'm not worried about that. I fly enough there where I don't worry about something like that. And the next question is, how do I safely store my LiPo batteries? Answer, store them at storage voltage. That's usually about 3.8 volts per cell. That's around 11.4 volts for a 3S pack. And use your charger storage function, which I just mentioned. I don't have that on mine. But don't leave them fully charged or fully discharged. It shortens their life and increases risk. So, yeah. I've been running LiPos for a long, long time, and I pretty much abuse them. I don't store them at any one voltage or anything like that. Before I go out flying, I'll charge them up, and then out on the field there, I hook them up to my car battery, and I keep them in rotation. And you just don't want them hot to the touch when you're charging them, recharging them. It puts a little strain on them. But I've never had any problems at all. Okay, well, I hope that was interesting for some people there. I know I've talked on previous podcasts this very same thing, so I don't know. I just thought I would group a bunch of questions together for this and throw them out there, see what you guys think. And I've been getting some emails. I do thank you for these emails, for these suggestions like this. And I get questions in there, and I incorporate them into these podcasts as I can. So thank you. I do appreciate it. So that's it for this RC FlightCast Q&A session, and hope it helped answer some of the burning questions you had about getting started in the hobby. Until next time, stay safe, keep flying, and enjoy the skies, and we'll see you.